Do good, Maverick here. Welcome to podcast episode number 136. Looking stupid versus doing something stupid. A lot of people, they are a lot more afraid of looking stupid than doing something stupid. Experts say that most people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. Isn't that mind-boggling? Think about it. How often isn't it that fear is holding us back? But shouldn't we be more afraid of doing stupid things than looking stupid? And the paradox is that oftentimes the smart thing to do will make you look stupid, or at least it will have a pretty high risk of making you look stupid. But still, you should probably do it, looking stupid versus doing something stupid. I could probably go on a rant about this for like 2 hours, but yeah. One example that I one example that I guess demonstrates it a lot is, for most men, when it comes to women and dating, a lot of men, they have a fear of rejection and are really scared about approaching and talking to a gorgeous young lady. And oftentimes it ends up with them not approaching and talking to her at all. And then they might look they might look really smart because he didn't make a fool of himself. He didn't get rejected. So it might look smart, but was it really? But the thing is, even for experts or people on a world-class level, I heard this guy from America. He was living in Hollywood, and he knew a guy that was like world-class, on the top of world-class when it came to women and dating. The amount of women that were attracted to this guy was just off the charts. Sorry about the background noise. It's my tablet that keeps falling down. But yeah, he was talking about that guy that had like world class. He was world class when it came to how many women that were attracted to him. But the thing was, he asked him why, when it came to his closing rate, so to speak, when he asked women to get their number, how many percent of the women that he asked actually gave him their number? And this guy thought it was like, for this guy with his world class level, he had never seen a guy that had that many percent of women attracted to him. It was like on the level with some actors like Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio, something like that. So he thought this guy is probably like 95% of the women that he asks for their number, probably like 95% is giving the number to him. But it was not. It was like 50%. So someone at a world-class level like that was like 50%, 50-50. And then what for the rest of us that are not anywhere near world class, when a guy on a world class level gets rejected, basically, kind of rejected, he gets a no 50% of the times. And that's world class. My point is, even people on a world class level are making mistakes when it comes to many things. So we shouldn't be that afraid of making mistakes or looking silly, looking stupid, especially on things that are not that serious, on things that can be reversed. You're not making a catastrophic, irreversible mistake by getting rejected by a lady or by posting something on social media content for your personal brand where you looked a bit silly or looked like an amateur. But still, we keep letting fear hold us back in many areas of life. But yeah, looking stupid versus doing something stupid. What we should be afraid of is doing something stupid, not looking stupid. So when it comes to things like online business, one of the most important things is sales and marketing. And when it comes to sales and marketing, you can do things like use paid ads or outreach. But one of the big ones is content creation these days. When it comes to making money online, content creation. If you create and post content online, you can use it to generate sales for your business. But if you create content, you might look stupid, especially in the beginning when you are probably an amateur and not really comfortable speaking in front of a camera. You might look really stupid, might look silly. A lot of people might think that you made a fool out of yourself in that you kind of looked a bit foolish. But who cares? The big question is, are you doing something stupid? No, you're actually doing something smart. Maybe you're bad at it, but you're doing the right thing by actually creating and posting content to promote your offer, promote your business. You know, the last few weeks I've been interviewing several success stories of people that are making at least $10,000 in profit per month from running a paid community. And the thing is, for several of those people that I interviewed, the way they got almost all of their members was through creating and posting content on social media. So, you know, think about it. If you are finding yourself trapped in the matrix of the 9 to 5 rat race, maybe you're working in a job that you really don't like, or maybe it's even worse than that. Maybe you're dreading getting to work every day, struggling financially, wanting more freedom. You know, what's worse, being stuck in a position like that for years, or looking foolish on social media for a few months, but actually generating sales and getting to 5 figures or even multiple 5 figures in profit per month? Good question. What would you choose? You know, when I look back at the many mistakes I've made when it comes to trying to make money online, online marketing, entrepreneurship, one of the main things that I really regret not having done is creating and posting content. I can come up with a lot of excuses as to why I did not want to do it. But a lot of it comes down to fear, you know. I was afraid of looking silly. I also thought that I wanted to do something that was more scalable, and I did not want to be an influencer, so to speak. But imagine where I could have been today if I had just started creating and posting content. You don't even have to be an expert at the subject you're talking about. A lot of people, they're creating and posting content and they're basically documenting their own journey. Gary Vee has a bunch of has a bunch of advice when it comes to content creation, where he says document, don't create. You can, in many cases, you can focus on documenting your own journey, what you're doing, and it can be done even if you're not an expert. You know, yeah. Looking stupid versus doing something stupid. Of course, this applies to a lot more than just dating or posting content online. Asking for advice, that can be another big one. trying something and failing, or risk failing. But yeah, I guess you get my point. But for a lot of us, I guess we have been so kind of conditioned or used to it, used to thinking that way, that we are kind of automatically thinking about avoiding to look stupid. Whereas what we really should be avoiding is doing something stupid. And if you're really afraid of looking stupid, it is probably going to prevent you from doing a lot of really smart things, you know. There's a lot of brilliant and smart things you could do just by not being afraid of looking stupid. I guess the other way around. There is a lot of smart things you would kind of prevent yourself from ever doing if you are really going to avoid and guarantee yourself, or trying to guarantee yourself of never looking stupid. The cost of having a value like that, of valuing not looking stupid, valuing that higher than actually, if you're trying to, my point is, if you have this value system where you are trying harder to avoid looking stupid than you're trying to avoid doing something stupid, it's probably going to lead to a lot of bad decisions, like it has for me over the years. Tony Robbins talks about this when it comes to a lot of the ways we operate. If you want to have a big breakthrough, it's usually if you change a value or if you change a belief. That's oftentimes, I might be butchering the way he explained it, but that's oftentimes when people have a massive psychological or emotional breakthrough is by changing a value or changing a belief. So for example, if you have a value, one of my most important values is to never make myself look stupid. If that's the value system that I'm constantly making decisions by, it's going to hold me back a lot. Whereas if I instead replace that value with, I don't want to do stupid things, tremendous difference. Just changing those values can lead to massive breakthroughs. The other one, beliefs. I guess I shouldn't get all into that now. It might take a lot of time, but beliefs is it's a bit different. Beliefs is like if you have if you have false and self-limiting beliefs. One example might be that you think you look ugly and women find you repulsive. They don't find you attractive. If that's a false and self-limiting belief you have, it's going to hold you back a lot. And the thing is, when it comes to beliefs, even if they are false, the way the brain works is that even if you have a false and self-limiting belief, you're going to find proof of it being true almost everywhere. If you have that belief and a gorgeous young lady looks at you, you might think to yourself, oh, now she looked at me because it's probably because she was so repulsed by me that's why she looked at me that way. But actually, she might just have been glancing around, and just by accident she looked at you, and then she looked at something else. It was not, she didn't think anything about it. Or maybe she was even really attracted to you, and she looked at you, and she got shy and looked away. But since you had that self-limiting belief, you interpreted it as she being not attracted to you. And also, if you have that self-limiting belief, you will probably be acting very different than if you had an empowering belief. So in that dating scenario again, if you would change that self-limiting and false belief, I'm sorry, if you would change that with that true and empowering belief, like, for example, there's a lot of women that is attracted to me, but oftentimes it takes a little while before it gets evident, something like that. A lot of women are attracted to me, but oftentimes I have to show more of my personality and character before they are. For example, that's what's a true and empowering belief. If you changed your first self-limiting belief with this new and empowering belief, just that switch in beliefs could be the next breakthrough. Because now with that new belief, you'd find evidence for it being true almost everywhere. And also, it will cause you to act very different, because now, even if they gave you a slightly not so good look, it wouldn't break you, or it wouldn't cause you to interpret it the same way. I guess I'm not explaining this the best way, but yeah, my point is beliefs and values is oftentimes what holds us back. And if you have a value that you're trying harder to avoid looking stupid than you're trying to avoid doing stupid things, it's probably leading to a lot of bad decisions. It can also be dangerous, because people that are really afraid of looking stupid, and they're more afraid of that than doing something stupid, it might even get as bad that they're even more afraid of looking stupid than of doing something wrong. Now you're really starting to get into something scary, you know. There's a lot of things that have been done during history by people that were afraid of looking stupid. They were afraid of doing something opposite of what the crowd were doing. Yeah, looking stupid versus doing something stupid. But yeah, back to that thing about building a personal brand and content creation. Who knows what kind of results you could have if you just created and posted content consistently for like a year. Russell Brunson, I've heard him say this many times. He's basically a world-class online marketer and multi-millionaire. And yeah, I've heard him say it many times, that if you just choose one platform and you created and posted content every single day for 1 year, you would never have to worry about money for the rest of your life. I think that's a big overstatement, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of truth to it. Because these days, when we are kind of living in an attention economy, if you can garner attention, build an audience, there's a lot of ways that you can monetize it. So yeah, and like I said, the last few weeks I've interviewed several people that are running paid communities, making at least $10,000 in profit per month. And several of those people, the main way they were getting members to their paid community was actually through creating and posting content online. So yeah, content can lead to cash. And if you want to learn from those real life success stories, go check out communitycashcows.com. All right, take care, and God bless.